Hi, Sunday school kids. So, our lesson this last week was the baby in the reeds, and this is baby Moses. And this is how the story of Moses starts. I'm going to just read this. So, baby Moses in the reeds, Exodus 2. Moses was a beautiful baby boy. His mother loved him dearly, but she knew that if the king found out about him, he would be killed. So she made a basket out of bulrushes and wrapped her baby in a shawl and placed him in it tenderly, then lowered him into the water among the reeds and rushes. After a while, the king's daughter came down to the river. She noticed the basket and sent her several women to fetch it. When Pharaoh's daughter opened the basket, she saw a crying child inside. She picked Moses up and held him gently in her arms. "This must be one of the Hebrew babies," she said softly. Moses' sister, Miriam, right here, was secretly watching from nearby. Now she was brave, stepped forward, and offered to fetch someone to nurse the baby. When the princess nodded, Miriam darted off to find her own mother. So it was that Miriam's mother looked after her own son until he was old enough for the princess to take him to the palace. Our other story for last week is the burning bush. Imagine a bush that's burning, but not burning. So Exodus 3 through 4. When Moses grew up, he was shocked to see how the Egyptians treated his fellow Hebrews. After killing an Egyptian for beating a Hebrew slave, he had to leave Egypt and became a shepherd. One day, while Moses was tending his sheep, he noticed that a nearby bush was on fire, yet the leaves of the bush were not burning. As he stepped closer, he heard the voice of God. "Take off your sandals, Moses, for this is holy ground. I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and of Jacob." Moses hid his face in fear. The Lord said, "I have come to rescue my people and bring them up out of Egypt into the promised land. You must go to Pharaoh and demand that he free them." Moses was terrified at the thought of speaking to Pharaoh, but God told him that he would be with him and that he should tell Pharaoh that it was Yahweh who sent him. He promised that he would perform many miracles so that in the end Pharaoh would let the Hebrews go. Moses was scared, but God would not listen to his excuses and sent him back to Egypt, although he did send Moses' brother Aaron to help him. All right, so our projects this week. One is a basket out of a paper plate and some yarn. So you can start this project by, it's going to look like this in your basket. You're going to have yarn, or in your bag. You're going to have paper that looks like this, kind of weird, and yarn. And you just want to start your end inside the paper plate. So just tuck it in there. And then you're just going to go in and out between all of these until you've used all the yarn. If you can, try and push the flaps together as you're weaving in and out, okay? And as you do this, it will start pulling the basket together, okay? So you're gonna just keep going around and around, okay? Like this. And I bet you guys can do it. And then it should turn into something like this. Looks like a little basket. So you can put like a little ball in there, or a little baby, and pretend it's Moses. You can put other little trinkets in here if you want. And yeah, play with it for a little bit. So that's our basket. Our other project, you should have a sheet with a tree on it or a bush. You can use colored pencils to color on it a bush. You can use your leftover tissue paper from the week before from our Joseph project and glue on for fire. Or you can use paint. I've got red, orange, and yellow here. So I am just going to take and paint my fire on. Now this, I am using a brush right now. But you can also use, I'm going to set this one down. You can also use a fork like we did at Pentecost. So you can just dip that in a few different colors and paint with a fork. Sometimes it works really well, and sometimes your paint is kind of funny too. Okay, you can paint with a fork. If you have a sponge at home, I have kind of a weird sponge here, but any sponge will do. You can also paint with a sponge. So there's my paint, and you can just do that too. You can also use what is attached to your fingers. You can paint with your fingers and dab your paint on. So look around your house and see what you have to paint with to make your fiery bush, okay? Now, did Moses want to go to Pharaoh? He did not, but he went anyway because God told him to. Sometimes we don't always want to do what God tells us to do, but he knows what we're going to do anyway, right? So God said he would help Moses, and he will help us too. So remember that. You can look at your fiery picture or your basket when you've made it, and remember that God is with you. He will help you through anything. Have a good week, guys.